welcome back. Welcome back. This is Rod Powell, and you have tuned in once again to another edition of the You Should Get a License podcast, where we talk about the most underrated, certainly one of the most lucrative opportunities in business today. That is a career in the insurance industry. And today we have someone who is near and dear to my heart. A very, very accomplished professional in this industry. Catherine Michele Marcellus is a native of Fort Jackson, South Carolina, but she grew up in Batesburg, South Carolina. Make sure we get that straight. And as a graduate of Columbia College, actually with a degree in dance and biology. Always interesting to hear these backgrounds, and how we transition into this business. She has recently celebrated 31 years of marriage to an incredible husband, Greg. They have two grown daughters, two wonderful son-in-laws, and she's lived pretty much everywhere on the East Coast and has been a licensed agent since 2011. So almost 11 years in the business, 10 years in the business, and a regional manager, a sales team leader, a very, very accomplished professional, as I mentioned prior, and right here in Virginia. And I want to bring her on, Miss Michele Marcellus. Michele, welcome. How you doing?
I appreciate you having me on.
You know I wanted to call you Moneymaker, right?
I know. That's
I
okay.
wanted yeah, I want the thing about this business is that over time, we always develop nicknames, and
Mhm.
we have these just little things that we refer to each other as, and I've known Michele, I would say my entire career in the insurance industry. Helped me, when I was a newer agent, kind of get started, and very privileged to have her as a guest. Michele, this platform is really one where we speak about the experiences that we've had, but we also talk about, the different segments of the business. With insurance, there's so many different areas where people can specialize in. And thus far, in these episodes, we've spoken with folks in the PNC side, we've spoken with folks in the life side, health side,
Mhm.
retirement, Medicare. We've talked about all of these different segments. Can you tell us, before we even get into your background, what area of insurance is your specialty? What's your focus? What do you do on a day to
Um,
day?
we call them supplemental benefits. Your voluntary benefits, your cancer, heart, accident, and you know, mine has been my roundhouse is worksite life, and seems to have been my specialty. If you want to get even more nitpicky, guaranteed issue
Yeah.
insurance. Um, I do love myself a guaranteed issue life enrollment, and just because it's an amazing thing to do for someone to give them life insurance when they might not ever be able to get it because of health issues or what have you. It's very rewarding.
Yes. Yes.
I might go, I can't get that, and you go, yeah, you can. How much you want? So I guess that's
Guaranteed issue.
yeah,
No. I wanted to just jump in real quick, because if you could expound on guaranteed issue, people listening, if you aren't in this space, you may not have heard that term before.
sure.
And maybe you have, maybe you've heard it, through your job, or your whatever you're currently doing. But could you just give a little bit of what does that mean with insurance when you say guaranteed issue?
So it means that there's no underwriting that you have to go through. It's set up for a limited window. So, um, with say a smaller group, we might have 2 weeks to see all the employees for this little group,
Hmm.
and the life insurance will be able to issue to each of the employees up to a certain face amount without any health questions other than how old are you and do you use tobacco products, because that determines the rate. But otherwise, it is what it is. You can have up to this dollar amount, zero health questions. It doesn't matter if you, I think as I heard way back, the proverbial have one foot in grave and the other on the banana peel. As long as you're living at work, we're going to issue the policy. Um, with our company, we also have where we can do the spouse as well,
Okay.
and with a child term writer, we can do the children. But it's a unique opportunity that no matter what your health history is, no matter what you're currently going through, your size or shape, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what meds you take. You have this amount of insurance you can get up to a certain amount, and we're going to give it to you as long as you want it. You just
As long as you
specify
want.
an issue. And it's pretty much a gift. It's just what's comfortable for your budget.
Wow, wow. That's, you know, when we think about, insurance, we think about, and we think about life insurance, we think about the death benefit and what it does. And now in the era of the GoFundMe, we see a lot of these things happening.
Mhm.
But many times people take out, those crowdfunding and things like that,
Mhm.
many times because they don't have coverage. But there's also instances where they can't get coverage,
Right.
right? They won't qualify for this because in getting that insurance, you have to go through the underwriting and
Mhm.
maybe have to give some blood or urine or
Answer.
whatever kind of bodily fluid or answer some questions,
Yeah.
about your history, and that can
Yeah, don't
prohibit
say
you.
that.
So
Mhm.
being able to do it on a guaranteed issue basis, it's amazing because I know that, based on what I know of you, um, you've been able to help a lot of people,
Mhm.
in that regard. It's also a very lucrative, aspect of the business to be able to do that in mass because in you mentioned, going into an employer group and doing that over the course of a few days. So you work with businesses primarily, correct?
Correct. I am in worksite. I don't do kitchen table sales per se, and I
Okay.
don't have a brick and mortar office that I have to take care of. My office is my dining room table. Excuse me, allergies.
No.
My dining room table, my home office, and my car. Um, and then we go to the employer groups. So whether it's a school district or um, Joe's Auto Parts or the Commonwealth of Virginia, wherever it is, we go to those job sites and visit with the employees. So it's work hours during at a work location, and have a fairly captive audience. If they're interested, they come and visit with us and find out what we have to offer. Um, Eliminates a lot of buying leads and driving around and that type of thing.
Yeah.
Very unique opportunity. As a woman, it's very feel very safe because you're going to a work site. You're not meeting strangers in strange places. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No. How did you get into that aspect of the business? Like how did you get into that niche?
So a long time ago, a dear friend of mine that I worked with in Florida made the transition over to the company I'm with. She had gone with several of our competitors prior and settled with this one. I was teaching preschool, and she kept saying, "Michelle, you got to do this. You got to do this." I'm like, I'll think about it. And finally, one morning, I decided my girls were in high school and college, and I really didn't want to teach preschool anymore. So I picked up the phone and called her and said, "Tell me more about this business."
Mm,
And less than 3 months later, I had taken an online class. I had gotten my license, passed my test, got the license, and interviewed with our state manager at the time. And he said, this is, I think you'll be a good fit for, and it's work hours and work locations. I'm like, okay, sold.
there it
Um,
is.
Here it is, sold. And, with any new job, you have a little intrepidation. But I've never looked back. I walked away from a W 2 position working school hours, which is, holidays off, summers off. And this truly gets to, if you need to take time off, you take time off. You
Yeah.
schedule yourself accordingly. And have never, truly never looked back and gone, wow, I wish I'd stayed in teaching preschool. Very grateful that a friend thought enough to say, hey, I think you'd be good at this.
Yeah.
And made that transition. She's retired. She retired after 10 years and is living her best life sitting on a beach in South Florida. You can't beat it.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely. I was actually going to ask you a little bit later about your career prior to insurance, and I know that you have a very colorful background. You've done a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about, the teaching, aspect, coming from that, your friend made the mention, hey, why don't you get into the business? We hear these stories.
Mhm.
What was it that, made you say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get this license and give it a shot? And there are several educators that join the insurance industry that I've seen throughout the course of my career, course of my career. Uh, what do you think that attraction is? Like, why do you feel like, educators make good insurance agents?
Um, I think it's a multi-pronged approach. Because of what we do, we're not just selling, we're educating. We're still continuing with that passion to see those light bulb moments, to make sure that people understand what's available. Insurance is, to the layperson, can be very complicated, can be very like reading Greek. Not many people could read Greek, but being able to sit down with someone and go, this is what's available, this is how it works. What do you already have? And show them how what we offer partners hand in hand with their major medical and rounds out their whole package so that they are protected not just by major medical. There are a lot of gaps there nowadays, especially as the high deductibles go into play. And show them how products can be placed so that when they're going through some of the worst times of their lives with accident, cancer, loss of a loved one, how these products can come in to make them safe and secure. Why do I think educators do it? Because we learn at a very early part of our career how to listen to what the children or the adults we're teaching are saying to us so that we can bring them through whatever we're teaching and educate them on whatever the subject is at hand, whether it's biology or dance or whatever. You have to be able to explain it in a way that the person you're teaching comprehends and understands it. So, selling a very complex, hard to understand product, you got to be able to break it down and make it simplistic.
Yeah.
Without insulting the person you're talking to.
Right.
Not talking down to them, but helping to educate
We've
them.
known some people that do insult the people.
Oh, yeah.
I guess in love. I guess it's supposed to be in love, though, right?
Yeah. But I think it's a for us when you're not wanting to be in the classroom anymore, it still gives you that light bulb moment, and it's because it's different people every day. It's a different whether it's the same location every day. You're not seeing the same people, so it's stimulating for us because you're fact finding, you're finding out what works and what helps them. And at the end of the day, whether they purchase a policy or not, you've educated them on what this means. It's a big concept that a lot of people struggle with, and to be able to help them get a better understanding is rewarding as much as the sale is rewarding.
Yeah, that education is always key. So the first part of that question was really about for you specifically, and that makes so much sense. It's still that sense of teaching,
Yes,
right?
very much so.
And sharing, that education, that information,
Mhm.
and making sure that there's a comprehension,
Right.
of what is available and what is at stake,
Yes,
with
very
an
much.
individual. Because life is full of choices, right?
Yes, yes.
So, for you, when she told you about that opportunity and she was telling you about it a few times, what was the final, you know, catalyst, or just that light bulb, or that moment that you were like, you know what, okay, I'm gonna do this.
So for me, um, it was seeing what happened to her. Um, she is a very dear friend of mine, and she and her husband came in as kind of a team. And she talked about these products. I had owned a cancer plan my entire adult life because of my mother's battle with cancer. And she encouraged us to have cancer policies because how well they took care of her. And my first principal, my mother was going through cancer as my first year of teaching, and she said, "You go get one of these, you need it." So I did. Um, Fast forward all those years, my friend and her husband came in as a team. And as I started going through the online course, her husband tragically passed away a month shy of his 50th birthday. And I had listened to them both talk about the products that they had and what their company sold. And then to see, as I'm talking with her, helping her through this, what the products meant. You know, the life insurance, the heart attack policy that covered for his heart attack and stroke, and what they did for her financially. Because, you know, you take away one breadwinner and that can be devastating. And to see what those funds coming in at that time meant. And for this particular company, seeing what the company did for her as a member of their team was very impressive, looking from the outside in. And, you know, as you know, I get called Mama Bear quite a lot. Seeing her being more than just a number, more than just an agent, more than just an income stream, meant a lot
Yeah.
to me to be part of something that was more like a family.
Yeah.
And it made that transition very easy for me. And it also kicked it in overdrive. When I watched her go through that, I've been kind of going through the course at my own pace. And I picked up and went into overdrive at that point. I finished the course in 2 weeks and took my license a week later, took the test. And it just, I know that's not the typical of what most agents' backstories are, but, you know, to see the power of what these policies can do to change people's lives. I mean, it's not just, you're not just making money, you're not just writing insurance, you are actually affecting people. And every policy we write affects somebody's life. You know, whether they use it or not, that's a comfort to know that they've got it in case they ever need it. But when that time comes that they have to put those claims in, that's a game changer. Like you said, those GoFundMe pages, you know, if they had simply taken 10 minutes out of their time to sit down with an agent and talk about those products, they might not need that GoFundMe page.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, man, you got to see it firsthand. You got to see it in action firsthand while you were going through the licensing process, while and I guess that is what drove you to say, hey, I'm gonna take this serious. And you're right, most people do not have that,
Yeah.
as a motivation. I guess it's an unfortunate, fortunate, kind
Right.
of dichotomy, in that sense. Wow. Yeah, that's I don't know if I knew that part of the story, Michelle. So that's
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
Let's change gears for a minute.
Sure.
Okay. Let's go all the way back. Let's go back before preschool teacher,
Hmm.
growing up in Batesburg, South Carolina,
Hmm.
little girl, Catherine Michelle Marcellus. What did you want to be when you grew up? What was your dream growing up?
I wanted to be a ballet dancer.
Mm,
I wanted to be a dancer. And my mother and my father wanted me to be a nurse, just like my godmother. Um, but I wanted to be a dancer. I saw, I was a late in life baby. So I was born when my parents were 45 and 49. And I was like that second family. You know, my
yeah.
siblings were all grown in high school and college when I came along. And my mother took me to see Jesus Christ Superstar of all the Broadway plays when I was about 5, 6 years old. And it really just that. And then we went to see the Nutcracker after that. She kind of decided to take me to see all the things that she wanted to see. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to perform. I love to
Yeah.
move. I had Was a swimmer at a young age. I learned to swim before I was 3 years old and swam. I've always swam. I just, the body movement. And when I started dancing, I danced all through high school and then, of course, in college. And just being able to express myself.
Yeah, yeah. So growing up, so you actually, accomplished, that dream.
Yeah, I did.
How, so coming from that, what were the, I'm a musician,
Yes, I
by
do.
trade, and I find that, when you have that artistic
Hmm.
side of yourself, that creative instinct, it actually helps you in this industry, in the insurance
Oh,
industry.
absolutely.
What has been your experience with how having that background in dance and being a creative as well, how has that translated into your career thus far? Or,
Um, I think as musicians, and I also have a music background too, but not like yours. But having that, musicians and dancers, creative people, you learn a process. You have to learn to crawl before you walk. You have to start at the beginning and learn and build upon your technique. Um,
mhm,
you have to truly be a student of your art and make those goals, make those commitments. I find that we as artists are very, very driven, very goal oriented. You want to achieve this. Okay, so what do I have to do to get there? I want to achieve this next level. What do I have to do to get there? You start dancing at a ballet class. How do I get on point? Well, I have to do this, 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 and this. So for me, coming into insurance, I found that it's same kind of structure. You have to
yeah,
learn your product. You have to learn how to present. You have to learn how to do everything in order, very structured. Um,
right.
and I like structure. It's.
Right.
I think in the past you said I'm very organized, which I look around my house go, not so much, but
Yes. No, Michelle is extremely organized. Everything is in order. Well, you can't. Well, if you're looking at this YouTube video after we put it up, then you'll see me chopping my hand where everything is in each specific folder with its tab written
oh yeah,
nicely.
yeah, a little OCD there, but yeah, but it's that same concept. How can I make life so that everything flows very, very easily? So when we're on in a job site, how do you keep that flow going? Oh, I'm sorry. How do you keep all of that going? Um, and that comes from having it organized and having the structure.
Yeah,
I think with what I've done over the years is as I train new agents, I give them that same structure. Here is your book, that your presentation book. It's set up a certain way so it's easy to follow along. It's like a dance. You have your beginning, your middle section, your end. A piece of
yes,
music, same thing. How do you flow from one section to the other to get you to the end of the piece?
right,
Um,
right.
this is very similar. Yeah,
Yeah, because your conversation is kind of like your choreography.
right. And I think for us, for dancers and musicians and singers, you're still presenting. You're on. Um,
Hmm.
you can't be in a shell when praying nobody notices you to do what we do. Um, but it allows you to have that comfort zone. You're used to being in front of people so that when you're meeting strangers and sitting down and talking about things with them that some people be uncomfortable about, it's just another dance.
Yeah,
It's just another performance so that you sit and you talk. But that sincerity factor has to be there as well.
right, right, right. And
And
and having that, I mean, having that background. I mean, when you not to just stay on the dancing piece, but I think it's relevant because whenever you are artistic, right, you're expressing with a sincerity, right, with a
yeah,
genuineness. It's coming from your heart, right,
right.
and the communications and conversations that you're having
Yep.
with your clients or prospects or whatever the term
Wherever we're
is,
calling.
you know,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It's that same genuineness. It's that same sincerity. It's the um, that same caring place. And you know, it's interesting, Michele, as I think about it now, just putting it all together. You took that from the dance, right, and then transferred that into preschool,
Hmm.
right, and then transferred that into the insurance. So it really all aligns, right? It's pretty amazing. Um, Let me ask you a question. At what point in your career, right, in your insurance career,
Hmm.
did you know that this is for you? This is it. This is my thing.
It was pretty early on, probably in the first 3 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
I wrote my first policy my first day in the field. My first
Nice.
policy. Um, yeah, it was in my first. The second week, I was kind of going,
Hmm.
and then I went on the road, uh, and it was my second job site.
Gotcha.
Out on the road on my third week, and I had a principal come up to me after I was in a school, and after the school day, and I was packing up, and the principal came in and said, "You've been doing this a really long time, haven't you?" I went, "No." And why would you think that? And he said, "Because you're really good at it."
Hmm.
And I was thinking back, going, "No, I wasn't." Because you're so hypercritical of yourself. And he goes, "No, no, no. I've had a lot of good response, and people are excited to see you tomorrow. We got a couple of people said, make sure that insurance lady's here tomorrow. I want to meet with her." And I got back to the hotel I was staying in because I was literally on the road, and told my district manager that I was staying with. I said, "Oh, let me tell you what she said. He said today." And she goes, "You're a natural at this. Why'd you ever think twice?" I'm like, "I don't know." And then we finished out the week, and I got home, and my husband said, "So, you keeping going with this, or are you regretting giving up teaching?" And I said, "No, no, I think I'll keep going with this." And like I said, I've had a wide and varied career of a lot of different
Yeah.
things, and um, this just feels right. It always has.
Yeah.
Like I said, my mom had cancer when I was very in my early 20s, and she had a cancer policy. One of the first, out of the gate. Won't mention the company's name, but they were one of the founders of that type of policy. And she went through a lot. And she had been going through chemo and radiation and all that stuff um, about 3 or 4 months. And she looked at me and said, "You need to go to the safety deposit box. I got a cancer policy. You need to see
Hmm.
what it can do." And I'm like, "Really? You just remembered this after 3 months?" But we find that typical in our market. People
Right.
forget they have it. And so her health became a serious battle about another month later. And we were going to have to consider bringing someone in to take care of her and my dad because he was blind at this point. And she said, "Michele, how much can you talk to that insurance company? How much are they going to pay? How much are we going to see coming in?" Um, Sorry, cat.
No,
So
that's Mally. Hold on, that's Mally.
Maggie.
That's
Maggie.
Maggie. That's
Yeah.
Maggie. Okay. But Mally, but Mally's not on the screen. Okay,
Yeah.
Mally, that's Michele's dog. Maggie is Michelle's cat. One of
Yeah.
Michelle's cats. Yes. Okay. For those who hear, she's in the interview too.
Yeah. Um, but what that policy did for our family was allowed me, because I called the company, I talked to them, found out about what we should be expecting, and my mother said, "I've got to pay somebody to come in and help out, or I could just take care of your bills. I'd rather have you take care of me than some stranger." So I took pretty much a year off of teaching and took care of my mom. And that cancer insurance policy really helped out and paid the bulk of what I had coming out of pocket. I moved back home. My husband and I were newly married. We moved in with them and were able to take care of them. So I've seen it firsthand 2 times. And it's amazing to see them when they go into action and really do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's a life changer for a lot of people.
yeah. It's one thing to see it from a standpoint of, offering that coverage to someone else, but with many, uh, I'll say many of us in the industry, if you've been in the industry a while, then you are familiar with this, and you know about it. But if you're getting into the business, or you're thinking about getting into it, it's not just about offering coverages to other people. It's also about not just offering those for yourself and your own family, but understanding, the power of what they can do for your own family as well. So not only are you helping others, you're actually helping yourself as well, by having access to that coverage, being able to understand that coverage,
Mhm.
and really knowing what to do when it's time to use it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a great point, and it makes a lot of sense. So you know at this point in your career, you've been a decade in the business,
Mhm.
um, millions of dollars in premium on the books. You've led sales teams, you've uh, ran multiple territories,
Mhm.
with your carriers.
Mhm.
Um, how do you stay motivated now?
Um, it's the same motivation I think I've had every day. We have an agent we both know that always talks about her why. Her why is her
Mhm.
daughter. You know, um, Mine is my family and what I can do for us so that I don't have to do this, work hard the rest of my life. I hear the old cliche saying, do what's uncomfortable now to be comfortable later. Because if you do what's comfortable now, you'll be uncomfortable later.
Yeah,
And, I get up, step out of my shell, and keep going. Um, my children tease me and tell me I'm a workaholic, but eh, I'll take that.
yeah,
Um, just knowing that there's one more person we need to see. There's
yeah,
always somebody we need to see. There's always somebody who needs to hear what we have to say. And in my role now as a regional manager, I know there are people out there that I need to meet that need to hear what we have to say. And you're doing this phenomenal job with this podcast and with your You Should Get a License. There are people out here who should really do this. I mean, it's not just a good living, it's a great living, it's a great way of life. And you hear all these phrases about generational wealth, and those are the catchwords of the moment, but it truly is.
yeah,
You're building um, a foundation from what you're producing can go for years for the
yeah.
next generation. And I look at my girls who are grown and married and know that what I'm doing now can benefit my grandchildren whenever they get around to having any in the future. And,
Right.
you know, um,
They're
hey,
coming. I know you want to.
I've never been one of those that goes, okay, so when are we going to get grandbaby?
Right, right, right.
3 grandbabies right now, but eventually we'll have human ones. And at that point in time, I know what I'm doing to lay the foundation will be there for them even after I'm gone, which is really nice.
Absolutely. 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 So, um, and thank you, for the compliment, about the platform. The
Okay.
platform does not exist, without you, and individuals, like you, who are really sharing your stories, sharing your knowledge, um, sharing your expertise, so that people who are considering, getting into this space, they have a resource that they can
Mhm.
that they can learn from, and help them to make better decisions, in the same way that we've educated people on what's available for their families, to get them protected. This is a way for people to get educated, and evaluate their career choices, to make sure that they're stepping into something that's going to be beneficial for them and their families. And the reason it exists is because I couldn't find that platform prior, so I was like, well, I guess it has to be created, so
Good for
so you know
I think
um
it shows that there's going into insurance, there is no glass ceiling, so to speak, and it doesn't
Absolutely.
matter who you are, what your background is, what you look
Yes.
like, what you do. Anybody can do this and be successful. It is
Yes.
useless business, and it is so, if you have that motivation and the drive, it really doesn't matter. I mean, I've known a kid come right out of high school that with our carrier has been number one in the country year after year, and he's only like
Yeah.
23 years old.
Yeah.
And then you have myself that's in my 50s. I've done this in where most people are trying to get settled in and skate out. I started a new career and was like, yeah, let's do this. Um, and then we've got people that are in their 70s that are successful. They're still actively in the field and producing. What a broad range that is accessible to anybody. This doesn't take a degree. This doesn't take a lot of experience. This takes taking a class, passing a test, and getting appointed with the company.
Right.
And the sky's the limit. You're setting your own paycheck. What you want to make is simply based off how hard you're willing to work.
Absolutely.
You know, that's not the case on some of the, my degree. You have to have done certain things to get where you're going. As a musician, you have to have done certain things to get where you are. This, anybody can do it. Just take a class, take a test,
Right.
get appointed.
That's it. That's
Mhm.
it. And what you put in is certainly what you'll put out. You spoke a little bit about the work and the fact that it is open to everyone, but it also takes that time and that commitment, right, and that focus and that discipline. Um, Not in your first 2 weeks. Not in your first 2 weeks. I won't use that example, but
Okay.
have you ever been in a place where you were at a fork in the road and really trying to figure out, what am I still going to keep going forward on this path? One, I want to hear about that experience, and two, how did you move past it?
Um, I've had two forks. Um, One was after a very difficult enrollment years ago, and I just hit a wall. I felt like I was beating my head against a wall. It was a very successful enrollment, but it was a hard fought one. Back to a guaranteed issue front, with our carrier, we have to have a certain minimum requirement of participation. And it was just, things kept changing within the enrollment with the conditions and with what's going on. And I just felt very beat up by the time we got done. And um, I remember just my husband said, "Why? Why are you downing yourself? You hit it, and you said it to me. You got the number. You hit it. Now move on. What's next? There are more people you need to see." And I took a weekend and licked my wounds and was a little grumpy, and then got my paycheck and was like, "Oh, okay, okay, it was worth it." Um,
Paycheck can bring you out of a lot of funks in this business too.
yeah, well, uh, yeah, well, and I
Those
had a
commission statements.
oh yeah, and I had been in a life sales manager role for a number of years, and um, we had a dear friend pass away, and just a lot of things, and been in management and just team changes, and I don't know. You hit that little kind of, it's a make or break moment where you've hit your wall, and instead of leaning to the wall and taking a rest, you go, "What am I going to do?" And I took a step back. I took a step back and stepped out of management, stepped into an agent role again, and just reacquainted myself with why I did what I do and why I love it. Um, some people have looked at it as a setback, and why did you take that setback? And for me, it was sometimes you have to go back to basics. Go back to basics. Regroup,
This is a football.
breath. Yeah, take a deep breath and go, "Okay, I can do this."
Yeah.
And it was the best thing I ever did. Getting back to the basics, getting back and going, "Why do I like doing this? Why was I successful at doing this? How can I get back to that feeling again?" And that can
Yeah.
be anything, but I took a little time. And, I had a lot going on in personal life as well as, work life. And um, I had one of the most successful 6 months compact time frame wise, production wise, that I'd ever had in that little niche of 6 months of breathing. And you can't lose focus of why you're doing this. Sometimes
Yes.
all the minutia of the job can get to you, and you lose focus on the minutia. You got to remember what it is, why you do this, your why. My why is because I love helping people. It's kind of part of my DNA, I think. And getting back to that was a big deal. Anytime I feel like I'm hitting that point, getting back in the field as an agent is so important.
Yeah.
Just so you have that one-on-one interaction to remember why it is that I do what I do. Um, or sometimes it can be as simple as getting a call from a customer going, "Hey, I've got a claim. Can you help me?" And seeing the impact of what we do, it will always bring me back and go, "Okay, I'm staying longer." I can
Right.
see. We always talk about goals, and I know you're a goal setter as well. I come from a military family, so we always had our goals. And as a dancer and a musician, you have your goals to hit. And my long term goal was age 67 and a half. Get to that retirement age.
Yes.
And my brother just hit 73 and still runs his own company. And I said, "When are you going to retire?" And I just saw him a couple of weeks ago. And he said, "When are you going to retire?" I said, "Well, you got me by 18 years. When are you going to retire?" He goes, "Retire to what? I don't enjoy playing golf anymore because the people I enjoy playing with don't have time to play with me, or they're too old and they take too long. And my wife would drive me crazy if I had to be around the house all day. And I like working. I like what I do. Why would I retire?" So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and my goal, I think, if you remember back, was um, one of the presidents of our company, when I went through our new agent training, said, "What is your long term goal? What do you see as your career goal 15 years down the line?" I said, "I want to be that little gray haired lady taking back the return of premium checks to my
Yeah. I
policy."
remember that. Yeah.
And I really do. I think that's such a joy to do. That's giving something good. I mean, that they're
Yes.
happy. It's not a claim. It's not a sell. It's taking something back to make somebody happy because here's your good news. You've got this coming back to you.
That's
So
right.
I
That's
don't.
right. I wanted to just draw back on something that you said a few minutes ago, where you talked about um why, in that moment where you had just the fork in the road, and you decided that you would continue on, and even with Greg, asking, "Hey, why are you doing this?" Right? um and it's because you have that, because you do have that why, right? And you found that purpose, and you just really enjoy it. And I think about that, it makes me even just chuckle a little bit. It's sometimes when I think about what we do, I think about this industry, working in this business, it almost feels like a secret, because you enjoy it, and it doesn't even feel like you're working really. You're like, am I really working? I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure out, am I working? I don't know. Should I be getting away with this? you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And it's um, this, I was talking to somebody the other day, and he said, "You just get this little giddy look on your face when you're talking about, oh, and I can do this, and we can do this."
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, yeah, I guess I do." It's the joy of finding the next enrollment, of finding, helping people, of going,
Right.
"Oh, we did," at the end of the week, I'll pull up our tracker of our production, and the end of week before last, I opened up and went, "Oh, somebody wrote some more business." And
Right.
it was just kind of that startle. And the gentleman that I was talking to goes, "You had no idea?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't even know they were in the field today. This just
Wow.
kind of
Yeah.
that bonus money." And it ended up being somebody had called them and said, "Hey, I talked to you 6 months ago. Can I still get that policy?"
Mm,
That bonus money there. So,
yeah. Yeah. No, it's just those little moments. So, couple more questions for you, Michele, and thank you um, for tonight. Definitely, I think this conversation is going to touch some people. Um, how do you feel having a license has changed you as a person, if any? I mean, you've talked about it a bit, but if you had to summarize that,
Um,
what would you say?
Having a license is something you never want to let go. Once you get it, you don't. I mean, it's hard fought to get it. It has put a validation on, that I'm good at what I do and that um, helping people really does matter.
Yeah.
And it has changed our family. Getting a license can really just make such a difference. And when I think about what else I could do, I could probably make about as much money doing something else. But at the end of the day, it's just a job. When I made this move, it wasn't to have another job, it wasn't another career. This is my career.
Yeah.
And it really makes, we're in a profession that really makes a difference. There are a lot of salesmen out there that can sell cars, sell houses, they make hundreds of thousands of dollars. But at the end of the day, you've sold something that, you know, it's an asset. It's
Hmm.
something. It's not changing somebody's life if they need it. Does that make sense? I mean, we make a difference.
Right, right, right.
We make a
It,
difference.
I guess if I just to just redeliver that, I guess it's just one of those things where, if you are providing something, you're providing something that's intangible,
Correct.
you know, um, because you're gonna have, look, I love my car, and
Love my car too. Love my house.
right, right, right. Love, and you know, man, love our house that we're moving into in a moment. Um, but knowing that you have something that will protect those things and allow you to keep those things,
Big deal.
if all things go awry, that makes a difference, because then you can actually enjoy the things that you have, right?
Right. We're, I think the best way to put it is we give peace of mind.
Yeah,
We're not selling a tangible object. We are giving you peace of mind to know that no matter what, you're covered.
yeah.
I know some old car,
Not
car,
no matter what. From a compli That's not, no compliance people. Not no matter what.
no
Under
matter what. And,
specific risk.
yeah. But it's, in my wide and varied career, I sold baskets, very expensive baskets at one point in time. Yeah, I mean, a lot of money selling very expensive baskets. At the end of the day, you have a basket. You have a basket.
Yeah,
That basket's not going to pay your mortgage. That basket's not going to pay your car payment. That basket's not going to take care of your family if you're gone. Not only we're giving the customer peace of mind, I sleep extremely well at night knowing that I've done a good job and
absolutely.
I've given people things that they need
Yeah,
and it can protect them.
yeah.
And a wise woman told me that you can't pay for your sleep. So I sleep
That's
really
it.
good.
That's it. That's it. And it's, and it's a wonderful thing, because you get to do something good, right? And it's also very lucrative. It
Mhm.
can be very lucrative as well as a profession. So it kind of serves, both sides of the coin. You're taking care
Absolutely.
of others, and you're also taking care of yourself at the same time. So at this point in your career, you've done, you've accomplished a lot. What's the dream now? What's next? I know that as insurance professionals, as entrepreneurial minded individuals, there's always, other projects, other ways that we're adding value, to our community, to the people around us, to the people that we care about. What's next? What's the big dream now for Michelle Marcellus?
Um, well, insurance career wise, I still plan to go for quite a number of years. I have
Right.
some production goals and some hopefully management goals to hit. Um, but our family goal is the insurance career has allowed us to develop the piece of property we own, and we're have started planting a lavender farm. So
Mm,
we'll be growing lavender and teas and herbs, and making a difference to make people feel good too. And we
awesome.
couldn't have done this without what I do. Having that time to spend the weekends and the evenings out in the field, which to some people doesn't sound like a fun time, but for us, it's, good time to get back in the earth and plant and grow things that make people feel good. And um, again, developing something to pass down as a legacy to our family.
Yeah.
So I have the financial income coming from what I do as an insurance agent, which helps fund my farm, and
Yeah.
then hopefully we'll have dual fold going, in
Yeah.
that dual income stream coming in, and even if it doesn't produce a lot, it really is nice to get out there and smell the lavender and grow the plants. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. Having the opportunity to do that. I mean, just
Mhm.
be in those moments, with the earth, it's just gratifying. I'm looking forward to getting some of those teas myself, by the way. I know we've talked about that, but
Yeah,
soon,
well,
soon as they're ready.
we should have something by the end of the summer for you.
All right, perfect. No, it sounds awesome. Look, you mentioned, the opportunity to do the farm, and I know that, we're starting to run a little bit. We're running on time
Mhm.
as my computer slides all around here. But
Okay.
what are some of the other things that having a license has allowed you to do? I know you traveled quite a bit. Tell me a little bit about that. Some fun stuff.
I have traveled. Um, I have been the road warrior with our organization. Um, it's allowed me to go all the way to Maine and work for a couple of weeks and know that I never want to live anywhere that cold. um, um, this summer, I will go all the way to South Florida to work an account for our company. But with our company, I've been able to travel to when we're snowbound in Virginia to Mexico and Puerto Rico and take trips that they've paid for. My husband and I have gone quite a few places together as a couple because of the company. We've made trips to Vegas and other places, and I love traveling. He loves traveling, so it's been nice to be able to do that. And
Yeah,
we've
yeah,
planned trips moving forward based off of my slow time. Might not be everybody else's time frame that they would like to travel, but for us, I go, okay, I've got this window of about 2 weeks that's really slow. Let's plan a trip then. And
yes,
being able to take him to go see his family in Florida from Virginia, and I do a little business along the way, is very nice.
yeah,
And then he had a dream that I know he always wanted to renovate a historic home, an old house. Sometimes I feel like I'm in the movie The Money Pit, just need the big chandelier to swing from. um, because of what I do, when this home became available and on the market, I was able to buy it.
yeah,
Had I been in a normal job, I wouldn't have had the income to do what we did. And so for his 50th, we wrote the contract on the house.
mm.
And
You got that big mansion with all that land out there to grow that lavender and those teas.
I like the land right now more than I like mansion. But
Right.
with old homes come a lot of constant ongoing maintenance. And when you have plaster walls, a big truck on the road can send a crack somewhere that we have to fix. But it's a labor of love.
Absolutely.
Both of our grandparents were carpenters, and when you see something with good old bones, you hate to ever see it be torn down with a wrecking ball. So
That's right.
we were able to save the old home here from that path, and again, something we can pass down to the next generation. The house we have is over 100 years old, And you know, it was something that his dream, and he always says, "Be careful what you ask for because you might get it." And now that we have it, we're going through renovation number three, and
Right.
you know, it's always a labor of love, but it keeps us busy, and as a couple, keeps us active on a dream, and
Yeah.
once again checking off those goals on that checklist that the day I closed on the contract, we were in a meeting and I said, there's those short range, mid range, and long range goals. And this had been a long range goal of ours since we got married, is to own an old home and renovate it. And
That's
to
right.
be able to pull out that piece of paper from 20 plus years earlier and go, hey, baby, look, here's your goal. Check,
That's it. Check.
check,
Goals checked.
goals checked.
Goals checked. All right. So, um, someone who's listening to this,
Hmm.
they're either watching it, on the YouTube, or they're listening to it.
Hmm.
Um, they're thinking, you know what, my brother, sister, mother, father, brother, cousin,
Uh-huh.
friend, they've been talking to me about this insurance thing, or maybe even they listen to this and they want to reach out to you, which in a minute I want you to share any contact information
Sure.
you want to provide. But what would you say to that person who's thinking about getting into this industry? They're kind of on the fence about things.
Do it. Don't hesitate. Don't look back. Don't second think it. Just do it. It is the best decision you'll ever make. If you're a self starter, if you don't like the idea of somebody setting your salary and telling you how much you're worth, it is well worth spending the time to take a class, take the test, get your license. You will never look back. And even if you're young and you're in college and you're saying, well, I want to be, whatever, this gives you a basis and a background that nobody can take away from you. It's experience. You're running your own business. It shows that you're an entrepreneur and that you have that motivation and drive. And whether you make this your lifelong career or just a stop in the road, it gives you some life skills and business skills that you can't get anywhere else. Um, One of our mentors in the company says you get your MBA this way without having to pay for it. And it truly is. I mean, to learn how to work and do what you do on a daily basis, just do it. It's a couple of weeks of your life to take the test, and just a nominal amount of money compared to what we've spent on college degrees. Man,
Hey.
you know,
Right.
and two kids out of college.
Right.
You know, um, it is just one of the best decisions you can make. You are truly setting yourself for a limitless future. You know, the sky's the limit. Decide what you want, set your goal, take the test, and just take the plunge. It is well worth it. You'll be glad you did.
Love it. Love it. Love
Mhm.
it. So, Michele, thank you so much for joining us. Um, I've really enjoyed I always enjoy our conversations, but I'm glad that we're able to share this conversation with all of the internet and whatever outlets beyond the internet this ends up on. But how can people get in contact with you if they want to learn more about your segment of the business? If they just want to reach out to you, they want to follow you, they want to get some lavender, some tea. How do folks stay in contact with Michele Marcellus?
The easiest way is through my Gmail, I would
Okay.
say. Um, you can just shoot me an email, tell me you'd like to speak, and I'm happy to talk to you. As you unfortunately heard my phone ring in the middle of all this, I typically have it during the workday on mute. I get a ton of calls and texts all day long, so shoot an email to me. I'm happy to talk to anybody at any time. And
What's that Gmail? What's that Gmail? We're gonna put it on the bottom of the screen here.
KM Marcellus, and it's KMMARCELLUS at gmail.com.
See, I'm giving Ryan a task. Ryan, that's my assistant who helps me edit all these videos.
Yeah.
Ryan, when you hear this video, just go ahead. When you hear it, just go ahead and just put that
But
at the bottom of the page. Right?
yeah, I'm happy to. This is, one of the biggest joys that I get is mentoring new agents into the business. And as you've heard me say, I can't be more proud of the successes of agents that I've mentored along the way. You being one of them. I mean,
Absolutely. Well, I
um,
appreciate you very much, and you are a beacon of light. For everyone who comes in contact with you, you're always so giving. You're always so nurturing and selfless. And I've appreciated you my entire career. I feel like in this business, you are at the top tier, of individuals, particularly those that really care about their clients and care about their colleagues as well. And I just wanted to let you know that, and that is going to be immortalized in this recording for all time.
well, thank
So yes, yes. Michele, Marcellus, thank you, for joining us. Thank you out there for listening.
you.
And if you are watching, thank you for watching as well. And maybe you heard something in this interview that made you, just tilt your head a little bit and touch your chin and say,
Hmm.
maybe, maybe I should get a license. Until next time, we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you.